So, what do I mean by normal? There is, it turns out, a well established theory of the way in which technologies are adopted and diffused throughout society. So, the key thing to keep in mind is that the logic behind the pace of advances in technology capabilities is different from the logic behind the way and the speed in which technology gets adopted. That depends on the rate at which human behavior can change. Organizations can figure out new business models. And I don't mean the AI companies. There's too much of a focus on the AI companies in thinking about the future of AI. I'm talking about all the other companies who are going to be deploying AI. I think that is a much more interesting locus to understand how AI is unfolding and is going to unfold. So we present a four-stage framework. So the first stage is invention. So this is improvements in model capabilities. And that has been talked about endlessly. So I won't say too much about that. But just like in your example of electricity, people don't use electricity directly, they use electrical applications. The model capabilities themselves have to be translated into products. Now, in the first year or two after ChatGPT came out, the AI industry seems to have somehow thought that AI is an exception to this. We'll just put models in people's hands and they'll figure out what to do with it. I mean, for simple questions like formatting an email or whatever, that's fine. But when it comes to using AI for software development, for instance, that has not worked out at all. You really need to figure out these user interface innovations to allow, for instance, software developers to do the right context engineering so that they can use these powerful but flaky tools in order to work with, a million line code base. So that's the second stage. That's product development. And we're still early in the second stage of figuring out what the right abstractions are through which this very unreliable technology of large language models, as one prominent type of AI, can be fit into what we have come to expect from software, which is that it should work very deterministically, which is that users, once they've learned how to do something, that their expectations will be fulfilled. And when those expectations are violated, we see that AI product launches have gone very horribly. So figuring out the right abstractions for product development, that's stage two. Stage three, this is part of diffusion, but it's the first part of diffusion. It's early user adoption. So early users figuring out use cases, workflows, risks, how to route around that. All of that is happening in some areas, but in other areas, even that is too early. And the last and most time consuming step is adaptation. So not only do individual users need to adapt, industries as a whole need to adapt. In some cases, laws need to adapt. What do I mean by that? These kinds of adaptations to, organizational structures, business models have to happen in every industry. Let's take software. So if some people hope that in the future it becomes possible to even build much more complex pieces of enterprise software just based on a prompt. Okay. Suppose that's possible. I claim that in that world, it will make no sense for these enterprise software companies to build software once and then force thousands of different clients to use it to adjust their workflows to the abstractions defined in the software. That's not going to be how we'll use software in this future world. What will happen is that developers are going to work with each downstream client, understand their requirements, and then perhaps generate software for them on the spot so that it meets a particular team's needs or a particular company's needs or even perhaps a particular individual's needs. So this is a complete reconceptualization of what enterprise software even means. And this is the kind of thing that we think is going to take decades, and it has little to do with the rate of AI capability improvement.
Just illustrates so powerfully why this framing of normal technology is really a useful tool for thinking about the problem. Because if you think of it as something magical, where AI itself will just burst the dams of society and will reinvent the world, you act one way. If you understand that there are all of these structural forces that are going to constrain, then you can identify those ones that you want to go after. If you really understand the problem correctly, you can actually, as an entrepreneur, for example, or as a business, you can actually tailor your solution to the real problem.